What's going on, guys? We are, of course, going to be talking about Derek Smith up against Matt Mars today. They will be facing at King of the Table 10 in just a few short days away. And it is one of the most interesting matchups because both of these guys are incredibly loved by the arm wrestling community. Matt Mars, of course, one of the all-time greats out of North America, representing Canada. He's always been second fiddle to Devin Larratt out of Canada. But Matt, in his own right, has always been right there and is one of the most entertaining arm wrestlers the sport has. And Derek Smith, on the other hand, he's one of those guys that's been a long, slow burn. Derek has been arm wrestling some 13, 14 years, something like that. And he is one of those guys that has so much size and promise, but hasn't yet cracked into that upper echelon of elite super heavyweights. He's right there. He's pushed close a number of times, but he's one of those guys that you just can't write off. He's one of those guys that you just builds and builds and builds. With every year, he gets a little bit better. And to face Matt Mars will be a fantastic test for him. It's going to be a great match, King of the Table 10. And what we are going to do in this video is we're going to have a look at stylistically how these two awesome arm wrestlers match up. And we're going to break down what is the possible pathways for each of them, their vulnerabilities, and where the match is likely to go.
Welcome, Derek Smith!
Derek Smith, USA, 37 years old, back for the third time.
This is the wild horse, Matt Mars!
Okay, so before we get into each arm wrestler individually, I need to set a bit of the context as to how these guys match up physically. Now, Derek Smith, he is an enormous guy. There's no other way to put it. He's 6'8" tall and approximately 360 pounds or thereabouts. He is genuinely one of the largest athletes within the sport, and that is going to be a major factor when it comes to how this match lines up. Now, Matt Mars, on the other hand, he's no short person in his own right. Against almost anybody else, he would be the tallest man because he comes in at about 6'5", and his weight, I believe, will be somewhere around that 245-pound mark, maybe 250, thereabouts. But he is someone who is a very tall man with an explosive leverage option available to him. So that is going to be the picture that we're going to be putting together. Now, Matt Mars, of course, being, like I said, a classical all-in-all-out top roller, it's going to be very interesting how that matches up against the larger man that is Derek Smith. Okay, so let's first talk about Matt Mars. The Canadian Wild Horse, as he is better known, he's known for that name because of his frantic and explosive nature on the table using his low hand top roll. If you've ever met Matt Mars, you've had the pleasure of walking past him, you'll realize that he is an enormous human. He is very tall, he has an incredibly long forearm and an incredibly long hand. Albeit he's dislocated his fingers in the past because of his frantic nature, it kind of lends itself to the style that you can expect to see. He is someone that hits explosively from the go. He's not somebody who squeezes and holds, but he will hit and then hit again and then hit again and then hit again. He will try to bust through his opponent's defense with explosivity. He is somebody who is almost in the category of being a glass cannon. And what I mean by glass cannon is only really has one weapon and he keeps on going to it. There have been moments in Matt Mars' career where he's had control of people as good as Devin Larratt. He's gained control through explosivity and then had opportunities to press and has been able to do it. So he does possess those other weapons if necessary, but it's incredibly rare to see Matt Mars look to take a match there. It usually ends up in a place because his opponent has taken it there by some means, whether it was deliberately or not. But Matt Mars, 99% of the time, we can expect to see from him a very explosive and a very frantic natured low hand top roll. He likes to set up with high webbing but a low hand. So what I mean by that is he'll place his elbow at the front of the pad, he'll drop his hand and look to really explode with pronation. He isn't somebody who typically holds on. He really does try to make his opponent hold on to him. Now, this will be an interesting setup for him because he is against a man that is taller than him, and the arm length even though Matt Mask is 6'5" and has a long arm, it may not be as long as Derek Smith. So now this is going to be a very interesting setup when it comes to it. I still expect Matt Mask to look for the same things he always does. He's going to be inching, looking for webbing height to gain that access to pronation. He'll be placing his thumb down very aggressively, and when he places his thumb, he will place it low and he will place it forward. And that will allow him the ability to pivot off the thumb. If he can squeeze his thumb down firmer than his opponent can, and he can gain control of that access to roll over his thumb, he is in a happy place. If his opponent is too strong and he can't get that thumb down low enough, he's going to have dramas getting over the thumb and rolling. So then we start to see defensive nature from Matt Mask, which he does possess, but it is not his preferred lane. I think Matt Mask is somebody who is very vocal in the way that he sets up with his opponents. Expect lots of talk with the referee, expect lots of talk from him towards his opponent, trash talk as well, reminding the referees of who is doing what and who is breaking the rules. And he will really make sure he brings everything from not just his physicality, but his persona to the table as well when it comes to preparing for the ready go. Now, the obvious vulnerability that Matt Mask has in this match is that he is not the taller man. Now, usually standing at 6'5", Matt Mask has that luxury. His one weapon, which is his main weapon, that low hand top roll, usually comes from a place of being the man with the longer arm, the longer hand, and having that high ground all but secured. Now, against Derek Smith, who is 6'8" and a larger, thicker framed human than Matt Mask, this is going to present a potential problem for Matt Mask, where Matt Mask usually gets to obtain the high ground and somewhat relax and not have to fight for it. He is going to have to fight for it against Derek. Now, what that translates to is physical effort before the go, which, let's say, he may be able to achieve that height through that physical effort, but what it will translate to is that there won't be as much of a hit. You won't see as much explosivity from Matt Mask off the go because he is spending his energy trying to fight for and securing that height. Now, this may mean that Matt Mask comes out and defensively top rolls. It all is going to depend on how much threat there is from Derek at the top of the table in the setup. Now, if Matt Mask gets control of that, no worries, you'll see his classical offensive shape. But if he is struggling or having to work hard to secure access to his own top roll, we're going to see his options limited. As I mentioned, it's going to force him to do what we call a defensive low hand top roll, where he retreats as opposed to attacks. He maintains his hand in a position where pronation is secure, and instead of pulling towards the side pressure, he will retreat and pull over his right shoulder, creating a false floor, so to speak, for Derek to fall into with his own attempts at offense. Now, this isn't what Matt Mask usually does, but I do believe it is something he may need to do. And it is because of it not being his familiar shape, because of it not being his ace or go-to move, we have to consider it a bit of a vulnerability. Now, of course, if it goes into a hook, this is not where Matt Mask is typically very adept. No doubt he's strong and he is capable there, but it is not his go-to. He doesn't force people into hooks. So if it ends in a hook, it's not really likely to be a happy day for Matt Mask. Much more likely that the bigger man with the frame of Derek Smith will be able to get more down pressure on him. So Matt Mask almost absolutely needs to win the high ground, be it offensively or defensively. And against Derek Smith, that is going to be a challenge. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about Derek Smith and the style he brings. As we said, this man is 6'8". He's enormous, 360 pounds thereabouts, very thick bones on him, very thick wrists, very thick hands. In all respects, he is the bigger man. Now, he is someone that doesn't possess what I would call a silver bullet sort of glass cannon ace like Matt Mask does. Derek is more of a well-rounded arm wrestler who does lean towards the top roll. He's comfortable in a hook, he has a press, but majority of the time you will see him look to contain somebody by dominating height and engaging his pronation as his lead weapon. Now, this will be an interesting setup for Derek. Derek, being the person who has options, but also being the person who doesn't possess a singular enormous weapon, he will have to really be in assessment mode right from the go when he matches up with Matt Mask. Now, Matt Mask, we know where he's going. He's going to look for an explosive top roll. And Derek, although he is the taller man, he is also the slower man. He doesn't have that fast twitch, that explosive start that Matt Mask possesses, and he is therefore going to need to be careful. Now, if Derek comes forward and sets up with height, which I have no doubt he will. He will, round one, absolutely, he will test for height and he will test his hand, see if his longer arm, bigger hand, has the ability to withstand the explosive top roll. The most ideal situation for Derek Smith is that he can just disengage Matt Mask's hand from that top roll, and then it's a very happy and comfortable day for Derek Smith. But given the caliber of Matt Mask and the explosive nature and the people he has taken the risk of in previous matches, Derek Smith will go into that with caution. Knowing that he is the slower man off the go, he is going to have to be stronger as well. Speed and explosivity, of course, amplifies the strength, and that inertia that Matt Mask will bring off the go is something that could crack the risk of Derek. Now, Derek, as I said, he is someone with options. If he tests high and it doesn't feel like he can out-top roll Matt Mask, I think what we're going to see is Derek search for even flat-wristed side pressure with even potentially the ability to just prop his shoulder forward and let his wrist go back slightly. I believe that one of the opportunities he has is to expose the bicep of Matt Mask. Matt Mask is a disengagement arm wrestler. He is someone who just wants to rip someone's access to their own power away from them and pin them before they can reestablish any connection. Derek will have the ability to potentially trade. Now, what he's trading is his wrist for his shoulder. If he realizes that he can't top roll and he just gives away his wrist slightly, but brings his shoulder forward, this propped defensive position may be a great position where Matt Mask starts swinging around on Derek's arm to his own detriment. What can go on from there is that the more Matt Mask swings, if Derek can maintain shoulder position with also keeping his thumb and pronation secure, Matt Mask's bicep will begin to open up. And given that Matt doesn't have particularly another weapon available to him, that may be a pathway that Derek looks for. Now, we did mention that Derek is also adept in a hook. I don't expect to see Derek looking to force a hook early rounds. Matt will be too good, too explosive, too strong in his top roll. But towards the end of the round, towards the end of the super match, there may be some accumulated fatigue in both gentlemen that allows the hooks to become possible. If Matt has been swinging around on Derek's arm and Derek's defensive position has achieved some fatigue in Matt's bicep, there will be that opportunity for Derek to potentially shoot forward and set the hook. Of course, if it goes into that situation, Derek is going to be happy. He is the more accomplished hooker of the two, and with that bigger frame, he will be able to impart more down pressure. Now, the vulnerability that Derek Smith is going to be facing is going to be indecision. Now, coming up against Matt Mask, who has declared his hand, he's coming in top rolling explosively. Derek has to first of all figure out the puzzle. Derek can't just go into this match with one ace that he's certain is good enough and just explode with everything he has into it. He has to feel things. He has to assess, first of all, is my hand capable of matching the top roll? Is my shoulder capable of matching his side pressure? Am I capable of taking a low grip and setting a hook? These are a lot of things that he needs to work out, a lot of questions that need to be answered, and he doesn't have much time to do it. King of the Table matches are 6-round matches, so first to 4 is what is required for victory. The last 2 rounds do become a dead rubber if someone is up 4-0. So Derek has to work this out before 4 rounds is complete. Now, he has to make the correct decisions on that. Not only does he need to feel the situation and assess it after that, but he has to guess which one is the right path to go from. Now, I expect round 1 that he is going to look for a top roll v top roll. He's going to test out his hand and wrist. Can he maintain height? But should that not be the case, he has to quickly decide, am I searching for a hook? Am I searching for a press? Am I searching for a dead wrist defense? These things and these decisions will be his vulnerability because he does not have the time to assess them correctly. Matt Mask, of course, will be jumping all over that indecision. Matt Mask will have the ability to potentially back off and hide a bit of his threat in the go so that Derek can't get a good read on those things and then come ready, go, explode back into his full capability. Derek Smith in this one needs to come in with a very clear mind. He needs to understand the relationship of how they balance up biomechanically. He needs to either decide he's trusting his shoulder and going defensive, or he really needs to go all in on keeping control of height. Now, ultimately, this match is a very fascinating balance between two very enormous humans, 6'8" against 6'5", 360 pounds up against 250 pounds, but a very explosive Matt Mask against a well-rounded Derek Smith. Derek Smith, you'd have to say, you feel like he is the stronger human. He's got all of that horsepower waiting there. It just needs tires on the road. It just needs connection, and he will be able to feel he's got what he needs and outlast or even perhaps pull through Matt Mask. Matt Mask, he, on the other hand, like I said, he's bringing this fire and brimstone. He will explode. He'll bring energy. He will be absolutely fired up at the go. And he will be looking to just isolate the wrist of Derek Smith and disengage him from any of that power that we know he has. Matt Mask against Derek Smith is a classic battle of explosivity versus horsepower. Derek Smith, Matt Mask, I think it could be one of the best matches if we get it to the stage where Matt is blowing open the wrist of Derek, but Derek's digging in his shoulder. We could see some absolutely epic battles. Matt swinging around on Derek's arm, Derek digging in what looks like all or nothing positions, break arm positions from Derek, but hopefully none of that will occur because he is a very seasoned arm wrestler. But this is where I am most excited. If the match does end up in those lanes, we could see some very, very entertaining battles, which could end with the match going either way. When it goes to there, the bicep of Matt Mask gets utterly exhausted, but the shoulder and the side pressure of Derek can get exhausted, and it comes down to heart. It comes down to who is willing to ignore that lactic acid burn that is ever so quickly rising, who is able to find a correct transition at the right time, who is able to climb and regrip. It's going to come down to technicians, and it's going to come down to who can execute best. So that's where I hope it goes. It would be incredible if it does go there. It will be an amazing match either way because both of these gentlemen, I haven't seen them clash before, and they are, as we said at the beginning of the show, one of the most, and both of them are some of the most popular and well-loved arm wrestlers within the sport. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think is going to go down in this match. Check us to subscribe, and we'll keep this going.